Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Press Box. Brian Carson here with my co-host Kenny Varner. Kenny V, how you doing, buddy? How was your Memorial Day?
Kind of non-eventful. Just kind of chilling out and relaxing from all the running I was doing with my family and with the games, and just nice to have just my wife and I just to hang out. So got a
Yeah,
chance to do that.
that was me too. Me and my wife, and we hung out, had a good time, and just she made some stuff that was new this year. She made these potato pancake like things stuffed with cheese and that and prosciutto.
Ooh.
And my God, was it good. Then she made this like banana split kind of no bake cheesecake thing.
Mm.
That's the last thing you want to give a guy who's like fat.
Yeah. But what a way to go, right?
And we welcome in our guest, the always welcome former Mifflin County Girls Basketball coach, Mifflin County Boys Basketball coach, Lewistown Boys Basketball coach, Aaron Gingrich.
That just makes you sound old, Brian.
Hey.
Nah, buddy, but you're with equals because we're all getting old.
Oh, I agree. It's just that's part of the gig, but that's the good thing that we're experienced. We're
yes,
we're veterans.
How was your Memorial Day?
It's always busy. I mean, and that kind of is I appreciate you guys having me on. That I'm not the coach anymore, but that kind of leads into the whole just busy. We're busy. Memorial Day was good, but it was spent with family, and we're fortunate enough to have a lot on Shauna's side. We did a lot of things. It was the weather wasn't great, but we got to do some things outside. Colton Spade and Marshall and I went fishing for a little bit. And then big wiffle ball tournament up at Shauna's family's house. So it was just a lot of stuff going on. But that's the positive. But it's just a very busy family. You guys know that family, and it's they roll pretty deep to all sporting events, which is a great thing for the kids and everything else. But it was great, and I appreciate you asking.
I'm gonna kick this off. Oh, first of all, I got to talk about I can do these like the internet and that stuff and this streaming, but I'm not really up on technology, not really. And my TV went kaput over the weekend, so I went Walmart and got this Roku TV. I didn't know about it, right? So I got this Roku TV, and there is an app on there that's classic horror movies. And Kenny knows I am a classic horror movie nut. And I have been like addicted to this thing all week. Just watching it.
It's I'm 53, admittedly, and Kenny and I are pretty close to the same age, but tech I was pretty good at, but we do Dish Yet, but we have Fire Stick all over the place, and that's really important because Marissa's games are all on ESPN Plus, so we can stream them everywhere. So with the Fire Stick, we get everything, and Shauna's mom and dad use that and everything.
Cool.
So Krista uses it down at Duke. She watches it, so it's really kind of. So when you say, you're using streaming services, that's kind of the way of the future. And it's changed. I mean, it's changed sports. It's changed TV watching. And, these other, the old school cable and Dish have to change, to accommodate. But yeah, they, the streaming services, like I said, on those TVs are amazing. And I said I'm just still baffled by what we used to pay for TVs. An old a plasma 25 years ago or 20 years ago or whatever. A $5,000 50-inch TV. Now I can buy technology that's 50 times greater for $300.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and that's a great time to live. That's what everybody. I'm a big Joe Rogan fan. I listen to him all the time, and this is the good old days were good. They were, but this is one of the best times for a lot of
Oh
reasons.
yeah.
For access to information, good or bad. You decipher how you want, but yeah, like you said, you in one click you're watching your favorite 80s horror movie, the cheesy horror movie, or we can watch whatever we want, from back in Kenny and I's age.
Yeah, for us old goats, my time was the 60s with the Hammer films. Christopher Lee. They have like 7 Christopher Lee Dracula movies on there, man. And I watched them all already.
See?
Now, a glutton for punishment that I am, I just subscribed to Masson Plus today so I can watch my Nationals lose every week.
Well, I will admit, from a basketball family, and I would like to think that we are that. My dad still has a Flow Wrestling subscription and is constantly talking. I watched this match, I watched that match, and every one of Marshall's coach pitch games. He and Colton are over there talking, and I know what they're talking about. They're talking about wrestling. But yeah, that's the beauty. And my dad, he has an iPad, so he's kind of old school, but he's streaming matches and watching them all the time. So,
Cool.
it's the access to information and and the bottom line is the kids, the athletes, they're getting more exposure. Across the country. It's just a different era right now. And I think that's a good thing. There can be bad things to it. But, for somebody like my dad now, that he'll pull into the farm with his iPad and he was like, oh, I was just watching this match.
Yeah.
And, that's unheard of, 20 years ago. So, I think that's a great thing. And, I appreciate that.
I love it too. I got Flow subscription myself, as you probably guessed.
I don't doubt it. So,
okay, we've had to start this off. I want to get your opinion. We have been very lucky with special athletes coming from Mifflin County. We've had the Hidley brothers, Skylar Ciccolini, your daughter Marissa, and now comes Carter Smith. 5 state championships in like 14 months.
Right.
Just crazy.
Yes, and I don't want to dominate the conversation, but yeah, that's a great conversation to have, because Mifflin County has always been we've had some good team sports. We have, and with my sister's Lewistown teams, with the baseball team.
Yeah.
We've had some good teams, but those are the special teams that come through once every couple generations. But we do have the individual athletes that are equivalent to anybody across the country. And, those ones that you mentioned, and, it was funny last night, Marshall, my 7-year-old, had a coach pitch game down at Kish Park, and it was the same time as Carter, the parade, the fire truck parade. He came through. So we kind of stopped the game right in the middle of a pitch and just kind of waved to him and everything. And we get to see Carter, in and out of the school all the time. And he's just a great kid. That's an amazing accomplishment. And with those times, this is a tribute to Tamara, to Ron Sprecher, but to also Alex Monroe. I think that was like the icing on the cake for Carter to, just push it over the top to get to that level. And that's amazing. And you mentioned a bunch of athletes and they're all great in their own sports, and they're all Division I talents. So we do have Division I talents, and this is me admittedly now as a quote unquote retired coach. the big team sports are we're up against it in our area because we're a rural 6A school. Doesn't mean we can't do it, but it takes that special class coming through. But we do have those individuals that come through that will be on par with the best of the best. And you mentioned several of them right there.
Yeah, and you're right about the times. You're talking ridiculous when you got them running a 4:01 mile. I mean, and then the thing that's crazy is, fortunately, with the like you said, with streaming now, I got to cover track and watch it.
Right.
And his kick,
yes,
is just sick. I mean, he'll stay there with the pack, and then all of a sudden, it's like, boom. You're done.
And look, we're so ignorant to what the strategy is, but Tamara and Alex and those guys, they're going through that strategy constantly with him, and he knows. But I mean, his tank is huge. That cardio is incredible.
Yes, he's got my kind of cardio, Aaron. My cardio.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and disagree on that. But
do you know what I do? Do you know what I do now, Aaron? I run 3 miles a day in my mind. I visualize it.
No, virtual reality is great, and I'm glad you can utilize that. The technology, but no, he's. It's just some people have. I mean, let's call reality, and maybe I can say this now that I'm quote unquote done. Some people have different gifts than others, and that's just the reality of life. That's not to diminish other hardworking kids that work their butts off and do great things. That's not. But some people have different attributes, and the kids you mentioned, and I can mention a handful of other ones, just had special gifts and special talents, and God gave them different things. That doesn't mean they didn't work hard to maximize that, but they are just different, and that's okay. That's not to be downplayed, that everybody's equal. Everybody's equal is participation, but sometimes people have different gifts, and Carter has a different gift, and he's going to get a lot of opportunities, and I'm happy for him. It was just exciting watching him. We were, Marissa and Malin and Dick, my dad and I were at the Y working out on Saturday, and we took time out of the workout to run over to the weight room and turn PCN on to watch him run. Like it was we wanted to be part of that because he's a local guy. He's one of ours, and congrats to him and the rest of the track and field guys, the girls and guys that were down there. For a great performance, but obviously he overshines everybody with his extreme talent. And
I want to get your perspective on this because you were a successful athlete yourself. And the thing that I noticed, though, too, yes, God-given abilities and that, and I want to get your opinion on this. The thing I got talking with him and Trent Hidley is their unbelievable belief in themselves. Because, like, I talked to Trent, and Trent goes, I want to get on the world team and get to the Olympics. Right. And you believe him.
Right.
And Carter Smith, I'm talking to him after the meet, and he goes, I want to win more state championships, but I want to try to get a national championship too. That's not normal thinking for most athletes.
It's not, and there's always a tipping point for everybody. And I could talk to Trent. Obviously Mark and I are great friends, and Nikki and I. I remember when Trent was born, so I probably was at the hospital with Mark and them when he was. But so I remember them, and there's a tipping point for every athlete, I think, when they get to that belief in themselves where it's not just success, but it's the extreme. It's over and above the normal. And I don't know when that happens. It happens different for everybody. I can only speak for my own kids. Like, Marissa probably had it this year in college. Now in high school was different, but when you're getting to that next level where now it's not just, I'm a Division I athlete. I'm a state qualifier. Now I'm going to be elite. And now it's not the workout because mom and dad or my coaches want me to. It's because I have to. I have to work out harder because somebody, for Carter Smith, somebody in California is ranked higher than him and ran
Yeah.
2 seconds better, so he has to do it. Or Trent saying, okay, now, I'm just right at Aaron Brooks' level, but I have to get better than him. Or now he's a little heavier now, but the point is,
Yeah, thank God he's not in Brooks's weight anymore.
right. Or Marissa even, at that America East conference where, she was, okay, I got to start. Now I started every game. Now, now I want to be, and her coach admittedly said, the other coaches in the conference have said, you're one of the best 5 athletes in our conference at guard. Now, what are you going to do with it? And, now are you going to take that next step to be a top 5 player in the conference? It's everybody says it, the Yogi Berra thing where, it's 90% mental, 100% of the time, or whatever he said. But the point that's true. And they would all agree with me that once you get mentally into that zone where, okay, I'm there now, how can I improve that last 2% to beat the best?
Yeah, and it's working. Like Trent is the number 1 guy at Final X. If he beats Josh Barr, he's on the world team.
Right.
A kid from Lewistown could be on the world team. And then I did some little research. Carter Smith, if he does the events his senior year, could come away with 9 state championships. And the record in Pennsylvania is 10.
Yeah,
by Tiffany Abney of Marion Mercy, but she was a sprinter. He could leave school the most decorated distance runner in Pennsylvania history.
Yeah, I mean, just God willing, he stays healthy and right attitude, which he seems to have. But you relish these kids and you prop them up and you want them to do the best and it's it's great for the county and it's great for that sport. But everybody has to be their own person. It's like it's not for everybody. It's kids have different goals and aspirations and things like that. But for those ones that are that special 1%, and we're talking 1%, and like I said, I kind of foresaw this conversation going kind of the way of Division I athletics, which because we it always we're coming off and Brian, admittedly, I want to. Kenny, you can jump in here because we've been overshadowing you. I text Brian, last week and congratulated him on the Mifflin County Hall of Fame recognition, well deserved for him. And you're not there, but you as well, because you guys put the work in to promote Mifflin County athletics, which is great. These kids deserve it because they work their butts off. And we prop up Carter, Marissa, Trent, all those, but every other kid works hard to, be the best that they can be. And you guys are a big part of that. So I thank you. And I think, Brian, that was a well-deserved recognition.
Definitely.
But what I'll say is, before I'll let you, tell me what you think about that, there's always the conversation that comes up. And we used to say barbershops. It's not that anymore. It could be anywhere. It could be online. It could be social media. Who's the best of the best? And, there's only a limited number of Division I athletes that we have had from this county. There's only even now whittle that down even more to full ride 4-year Division I athletes, and you limit that to a number. So it's limited. So when you're experiencing this, when you're watching one of these Haley's Comets going across the track or the court or the mat or whatever it is, appreciate it, because it does not happen very often.
No, it doesn't. Very rarely.
We take it for granted because, like I said, and I'll before we get to that, Brian, like I said, I'll let you talk because I know you got that recognition. That was very big for you, but you've worked hard. Like, you guys all work your butts off for limited to no money, admittedly, to promote Mifflin County athletics. And the kids don't realize it at the time, but they will later, how much that means, because it's hard. It's a lot of work, and you guys do it for the passion of the sport or for the kids or whatever it is. But that's appreciated more than you guys know by coaches and parents and players, and I'm glad that they recognize, like you and hopefully Kenny and Ray and everybody else that promotes local athletics.
Well, I appreciate your comments. I think the reason I got in is that I'm just so damn old. I outlasted everybody. I outlasted Franco. I outlasted
Andy Birdie,
everybody. No, but you're right, and not to puff ourselves up, but I know Kenny very well, Kenny Varner. We do it, and you're right. There is no money. We do it because, one, we love sports, but two, as I said in my speech at the Hall of Fame video I did, it was for the people you meet, the coaches, the athletes, the parents. I don't think people really realize how rich Mifflin County, their love of sports is.
Right.
And the people involved in it. I have had very few. I've heard sports writers from other papers go, "Oh my God, that coach is an idiot. Oh my God. I rarely, in 33 years of doing this, have had that problem. And right. I think Kenny will agree.
Yeah.
There's only one. And now that I'm old, I'm not afraid to say his name.
I know where you're going with this one.
Uh-oh.
Jim.
I'm just going to be quiet.
Jim Toozing of East Juliana.
Oh, there we go.
Was the worst coach I ever dealt with. When he won and you weren't at the game, he called up and bitched at you that you weren't there. When he lost and you were there, he wouldn't talk to you.
Look,
just totally unprofessional. But that is the only one in 33 years.
No, but you guys work hard behind the scenes, and you try to be, neutral. Your fans, obviously, but you have to report what's going on. And unfortunately, print media is kind of a dying force right now, and we understand that. And so over the last couple years, and this is no blame on the Sentinel, but we would have sporadic coverage, and we would
blame them. I work for them. Let's blame them.
Well, okay.
There's not. I try to do as much as I can, but in my personal opinion, we don't have enough. Aaron, you were around when it was Franco and myself. We had local every single damn day.
You did
in that paper. If it was AP, it was in the page too.
Right, 100%. And now, and like I said, this is. I hate to because I don't, look, you guys know I'm pretty busy with my day job. So, and we can talk about that later, but so I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but, respectfully, when I open the Sentinel, and I'm still a subscriber, and I get, the papers. Now, mine doesn't come till later in the day now, but I open and I see, Penn State, the headline is Penn State field hockey so-and-so made all Big Ten. And I'm like, wait, what? That's great, but give me some local. Now they do some local, but they just don't. It just doesn't pay, and they don't get people. But we had sporadic coverage where I finally told them, do you want me to call in some quotes so you guys can have an article? Oh, that'd be great. So it's been it's different. It's just different.
It's about making an effort. I didn't go to track because of my health right now.
Sure.
And I still got a hold of Seckler, got quotes. Got a hold of Carter, got quotes. Got a hold of Allmiller, Juniata's coach, quotes. Gemmerling, Midwest, make the effort.
Yep.
Here's the problem, and I'm going to sound like an old man, But the problem is the young sports writers today are lazy. They're growing up on 140 characters of Twitter and don't know how to write a damn sports story anymore.
Okay.
Do you agree, Kenny?
Oh yeah, yeah. And they're
Kenny,
looking for glory before they get anything else.
Kenny and I talk about this all the time. They want to write as little as possible.
Right.
I want to have a story.
And that's a lost art because, I'll see some of the articles, and it was always frustrating when you would get an article and at the 2-minute mark, this happened, and the 1-minute mark, this happened, and then this happened, and this. Nobody cares about that. They want to give me a narrative of what happened, just a quick narrative, and then give me quotes and give me your perspective and give me what that coach said and get both coaches.
Yeah.
And things like that, because that's where, the rubber meets the road, and that's what people want to hear. But, to circle back and, like I said, we appreciate, like I said, what you guys do. And I don't want to sound just like a hug fest here because, I'm not.
Oh, let's hug.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm the
Group
only one with my video on. Jeez, you guys have your.
Well, come on. Come on, you know us. We're ugly, man.
You see
nobody wants to see our faces.
I was repping NGIT for Marissa here tonight. So
there you go. I saw that.
But no, no, we do appreciate that. And I'll say there's like the two angles of the conversation. I mean, look, I'm old. I'm done coaching anymore. I mean, well, actually I'm not, but I think let's go back to our conversation. You guys can have this. It's the rarity of the Division I athlete, and Carter Smith is going to be one. And when you brought that up, it just in my mind, I just thought I was trying to think how many Division I athletes have we had in the modern era, and I'm not. This is look. My dad's one of those, like the 1960s. Those guys, we had a lot. But, I would say in the last 40 years or let's just start with Justin Henry, which Justin would have graduated in 1995. So that's an easy 30-year hit. In the last 30 years, how many full ride Division I, 4-year full ride Division I athletes have we had? And, I thought about it, and there's outliers, and I'm thankful, Brian, you'll appreciate this. Wrestling doesn't count in that only because, both Trent and Hayden wouldn't have been 4-year full ride because of the 9.9 scholarships. That was just ludicrous. Thankfully, the NCAA changed that.
Exactly.
Now, and they brought it up to, give money to all these kids in the room that are working their butts off all the time. What is it, 30 now? Is it 30?
Yeah, it's 30.
Okay, so I take Trent Hayden and some of those wrestlers out of that. But, from 1995 to the present, full 4-year Division I athletes, you're looking at Justin Henry, Krista Gingrich, Joe Stewart, and Marissa. That's it. Because, and I'm saying that being ignorant to Skylar and Taylor Ciccolini out there, but I know how track is with so many people on the track team at Missouri. That probably wasn't a full 4-year. Now, that doesn't mean that their accomplishments and their level of competition equates to the rest of them. That's not it. But when a school is going to give you that full 4-year ride, and I mean free, everything's paid for. That shows you the, how rare that is. And when I said back to like the Carter Smiths and the Trents and, Marissa or, whoever that are going that, it's rare and we should relish them while they're there, embrace them, and, support them as best they can, while they're going through it.
Got some comments here. Sean Farrell says, "Hi, Aaron."
I know, Sean. Thanks, Sean.
Bobby Fisher is about Kenny. Kenny can't wait for football season with you.
I see that.
And then he said, Kenny did tell Brian that I'm out of retirement to play football for you again.
Well,
That's
he
awesome.
just made the official announcement.
That's cool.
I saw Bobby's comment, and he was always. I remember with the Bourbon Bulldogs. So Kenny, you better get in shape. You want to keep up with Bobby.
Oh, I know, definitely. It's good to have him back. We finally got another quarterback now.
Good.
I always. Go ahead, Ken.
No, I was going to say I had to quarterback a couple of times, and the kids hate it. They see me under center. They're like, "Oh no, here we go." So,
I got to get some reactions here. We got a love from Matt Carper, a heart. Thank you, Matt. And we got a thumbs up from Pee Wee Duncan.
Oh,
and Ronald Hook. Is that you, Hooky? Hooky and I. Hooky and I. I'm sorry.
Hooky would probably be. Hooky would have went to school maybe around you, but he was.
We went to school together.
He was Travis Hook's dad. Travis played for me. He would have been probably late 2000, like 2007, 2008, and was a ridiculous athlete, like very good. Just he was kind of spastic on the court, but he was pure effort. Travis was a nice athlete for us, and really, and maybe 2000, around Matt Hilton's age, because I remember he played when we had our really good team in 04. He may have been a sophomore and did a good job for us off the bench. So yeah, that would be Travis's dad.
Well, that makes sense because his dad Hooky was spastic off the field.
I'm not going.
No,
there.
no.
I'm just saying Travis was hyperactive. He was pure energy. He was one of those guys you just wound him up and watched him go. He was very energetic.
Hooky knows I mean it out of love. We went to school together. He was one of my best buds until I moved away and finished school at Bald Eagle area.
Gotcha.
But yeah, he was a buddy of mine. Okay, so I got to ask you.
Yep.
Paid her dues. What do you think about Crystal being the new head coach?
Oh, I think it's awesome. So this was, everybody kind of thought this was coming, but it really wasn't a done deal.
Did you have any input in it?
Well, Tish always asks. I mean, I appreciate Tish asks, and it was kind of, I didn't know Crystal was really interested. She was our scorekeeper, so she was basically in every huddle of ours for the last 2 years. And I didn't know that because she basically said, "Hey, you're the coach, and that's the way it is." And I appreciated that. But, Tish brought that up, and I said, when I met with her postseason, I said, "Look, things are different for me now because when I took the job, I was not the president judge of Mifflin County. And for those of everybody that doesn't know that, what the president judge is, I'm still a common pleas judge, and I do everything that the other common pleas judge does, but I handle all the administrative duties. So we have probation and domestic relations under the arm of the court. So we're in charge of any issues that arise there, hiring and firing, although Jen Cherry at domestic relations and Nick Wolfkill are with probation, they run it. We have to oversee it. We do all administrative orders. We are handling all problems. Like, for instance, I was at Marshall's game, and I had Jen Cherry call me with an issue last night. So I was dealing with that at 5:00. So it adds to my workload. So I just said to Tish, I said, that's one issue. Two, Marshall, who's 7 and now is playing baseball, wants to golf a lot, wants to fish. He has other things going on. And I have a 2-year-old in Mavery, which I didn't have when I took the job. And so that adds another piece to the puzzle that I didn't know of. So I said to Tish, I said, maybe it's better that we look to somebody else. She mentioned Crystal. And I said, I think that's awesome. I thought, Andy Baker, Chris Lehman, they've been involved with our program. We hired them. So it worked out that, Andy was going to be the JV coach. He wanted to do that. Crystal wanted to be the varsity coach. And Chris Lehman's going to coach our 9th grade team. And I said I thought that would be great. And, so I supported all of that. And so that went through. And admittedly, I said to all of them, I would be an assistant, just a volunteer. I could go see Marissa's games. I could be with my family. I mean, all those girls are family to me on the team, but blood comes first, as you guys know that.
Yes.
And Marissa's halfway through her Division I college career. I can't miss those games. I have to work with Marshall, Mavery. I'm surprised you guys haven't heard her pounding on the door here in the computer room to come in and see Daddy. She's Daddy's girl, so all that's important. So, but then, I mean, after we discussed it, it was kind of, I think, the 30-year varsity coach with Kevin and the boys and Mifflin County may have been kind of a bigger shadow on a first-year coach like Crystal than she wanted on the bench. And I get that. Like, it's, because everybody's going to question if something goes wrong. Well, what did Aaron have to say? Was Aaron here? What did Aaron say? And that's not fair to Crystal. Let her start fresh. Just dive in, and her and Andy, they'll be fine. And so I talked to Wade. So I think I'm going to maybe be a volunteer assistant with Wade and just, come and go as I can, break down film for him, work with some of the kids when I can, with my schedule that's super busy, and be part of that. So, yes, I think, I'm so excited for the girls because Crystal is inheriting a team that I think is going to be very good. They're one of the only teams in the league that brings back 5 starters. So you say, well, wait a second, Aaron. Malin, my daughter, started every game. Yes, but Mackenzie Peachy, Peyton Weaver, Jada Kanegi started every game. Sierra Williams started first half of the season. Leah Reed started the second half of the season. So they have 5 returning starters, which is great. Ava Baker came off the bench, probably could have started some games. So they have a good 6 or 7 players coming back with experience. Now, it wasn't what we wanted last year, but we were very inexperienced. But
Right.
they're bringing back some good kids, some hardworking kids that are playing AUs. They're working out a lot in the off season. So, I just, I would love to see them win the league and win a district title. It would be, I'd be more excited than maybe they were for them. But no, I think Crystal will be great, and we'll support them from afar. And like I said, maybe, just helping the boys as a consultant for Wade. I think that'll be great, and looking forward to it.
Awesome. Kenny, you know what I heard, right?
What's that?
Did you hear the same thing? Aaron was not like that. He got his coaches, brought him to the side, and said, "Listen, I'm the man. You don't talk until I point to you."
That's. Do you guys think I could? Do you think I could calm down or keep quiet Dick Gingrich and Brett Leister? Good luck with that.
No. Especially your dad.
Their input was invaluable, and I relied on them so much. But no, it's look, it's just time changes. I'm 53 years old. And there were times last year, admittedly, I didn't spend less time on basketball, but there were certain things that I couldn't avoid. Like a couple games, I showed up either during warm-ups or the middle of the JV game because I had jury trials. And you just, as a judge, you just can't leave during jury trials.
No, sorry guys, we gotta put this on hold. I gotta go to basketball.
Go home. So I can't do that. And that's my job. That's what the defendant, the Commonwealth, the public deserves. And fortunately I had a great support staff and Brett and my dad and everybody else that they could get the meals done, they could get the busing done, I could show up and coach. And we scouted just as hard as we ever have and practiced just as hard. But the job has to come first, and my kids have to come first. And so I'm going to support them from afar and with the boys. And I was happy to go out with Malin. And, Malin was always overshadowed by Marissa because, let's just be honest, Division I scholarship athletes don't come around much. So Marissa's kind of different. But Malin ended her career, and we didn't even prop this up too much, with 105 threes. She's the second. She has the second most threes in Mifflin County high school history to Marissa, who had 250, I think, 5 or 3 or something like that. So between the two of them, they had almost 360 threes. And Malin had over 100, which is rare. And a lot of schools will stop the game when they get that. We didn't do that. Malin didn't really want a lot of accolades. So I'm just proud of her, for getting through after tearing her ACL in the junior high, her junior high era and coming back. So, you kind of go out on a nice note coaching your kids, because that's special. Everybody knows that. And, I really do appreciate that.
Get your comment on this little comment here from Beast coming down the road in Gemma Carnegie as well.
Oh, is that Taylor? That's Taylor Dippre. I see that. Yeah. No. So Jada played for us and started this year as a sophomore, and Gemma was a 7th grader. But we did, admittedly, we played that 9th grade schedule. For a lot of those kids, Gemma included. Gemma's a stud. Gracie Napikoski, Brenna Benny. We have Bella Yoder. Those are the young ones. Lily Curry, Maddie Peachy, Gracie Kerstetter. I'm just throwing names out. What's that?
You said Brenna
Benny. That's my.
Is that Dustin's kid?
That's Dustin and Shelly. That's my niece. That's my niece. So,
oh my God,
Shauna's sister Shelly is there. So they're coming through. That's a great group, and Chris Lehman has worked with them. We've worked with them, and the cupboard's full. I mean, when you go out as a coach, you always like to go out, knowing, like I said, we have 5 starters coming back with the girls. That junior high group coming up through. It's good, and Taylor's right. It's Gemma's working her tail off, and her mom and dad are putting the time in, taking her everywhere. Same with Jada. So, yeah, we're looking forward to it. I hope there's 5 more Division I athletes coming through.
Yeah.
That's the goal. It's hard. The stars have to align. Fortunately, Marissa navigated through COVID and limited exposure tournaments and through that and got through. Is carving out a really nice high or college career in the America East Conference, and that's great. In a perfect world, could it have been different, without COVID? Yeah, I think so. But it is what it is, and she's making the best of it and enjoying her time there. But for Gemma, they're putting the time in. For Jada, they're putting the time in. For Mackenzie Peachy and Leah Reed, and they're all doing their time in AUs, and I wish nothing but the best of success for all of them.
See, that's when you realize you're getting old, because I covered Dustin Benny at Indian Valley.
Right.
The one time Glenn Kyle yelled at me was because of Dustin Benny. Okay. Yeah, I can't remember who they were playing, but Dustin had 32 points. He had an amazing game. So I
100%. They were all layups, because Dustin can't shoot outside of 10 feet.
No, they were all inside, but 32 points. And I didn't know at the time that Glenn wanted you to ask him if it's okay to interview the player.
Okay.
So I go over to Benny and start asking him questions. And right in the gym, I get this ear-piercing scream, "Hey, what are you doing?" And it was Kyle.
Yeah. The West Virginia Rocket, Glenn Kyle.
Yes. I remember when he took the head coaching job at tennis, I said, "Glenn, I didn't know they played tennis in West Virginia."
He didn't know either.
No. We got a like from our regular, one of our regulars, the great Ed Stewart. Thank you, Ed.
Yeah, there he is, old Ed Stewart.
Thank you.
Oh, well, then I guess I have to mention Joe and Rich for that, because they were, when I talk about, I said, Joe was a full ride at Richmond.
But, yeah, I covered Joe. He was amazing.
And I guess, people talk about, records, and, I'll be honest, 100% candor. I don't know what my career coaching record is. I have no idea. I know we won a boys district title and a girls district title as coaching staff, but I wouldn't know my record. But what I do remember is the names of the kids from each class. Like I know Joe's class. Like, it was Joe, JB Baker, Jared Dyer, then, Matt Hilton's class, Matt Hilton, Mike Baker, Chris Tressler. You remember the kids versus like individual games or records and things like that. And I think that as coaches, all the good coaches will probably attest to that. That's why you do it. And that's what you remember. You remember the kids and the times, at practice, or the funny times, and, the good times, the hard losses, things like that we went through. And, that's, I don't mean to be nostalgic when you're getting old like us, but, it was a big part of my adult life. And, I appreciate all of them for all the hard work they put in, because, I hope we did them a service, not only on the court, because Joe will text me. He texted me last week about he's a co-owner of the Big Three team out of New York. Yeah. Nancy Lieberman's team. And he's texted me about, what do you think of these draft picks? And, we still text regularly. Matt Hilton says, hey, can Marissa transfer to Penn State? It's a constant, and now these kids that I say kids are, in their mid 30s, having their own families and making big money. And, I hope we had a small part in their success, with what they learned through sports. So.
Coaches always do.
Yeah, they do.
Always. Always. My football coach was Gowan Stoker.
Yep.
I love Coach Stoker. He still has an influence on me, still till this day. Right. So that was interesting. Stuart, what does he own? Joe Stewart, you said he owns a Big Three, Nancy?
So Joe works for, and I'm going to get wrong, is it Boston Medical right now? He's in the medical device field. So what they do is, and you want to talk about a Lewistown High School, Mifflin County High School basketball pipeline. Him, Matt Hilton, Elliot Sear, and Hunter Wright all have their own areas. They sell medical devices, specifically when people have back surgery. These devices are implanted, and they go into the emergency room. They sell them to the doctor, and then they go into the emergency room, make sure they're working. They stimulate the back and the muscles after back surgery. So they do that. But Joe bought in, and it was I should have help me out here, Brian. 2002. State College National Hall. Dave Berman would know this. State College, high school basketball state championship. The brothers, George Mason. Oh my gosh, it's going to come to me here in a second. He was part of the organizational team of that New York Big Three. So Joe bought in as a small minority owner, so he has some voting rights and things like that with the Big Three basketball league.
Ed gave you the answer.
Gabe Norwood. Ed got Gabe Norwood.
And
Gabe
so did Braden.
Yeah, Gabe Norwood was the one that reached out to Joe, and Joe bought in. So yeah, now he's a minority owner, and I have to pull I'm on my phone right now. I'd have to pull what the name of his team, but it's the Nancy Lieberman team that he is minority owner of.
Nice, that's cool.
So it's but that's just part of it. Like I said, the connections you make through basketball and sports, and that you never lose. Like that, these guys are part of my family, but unfortunately, like I said, all these girls are going to be part of my family. All the boys were, but the ones with the same last name as me, unfortunately have to come first, going forward, and between Marshall and Mavry and, Marissa's time, and you have to make that tough call. The last thing I wanted to do was say to Tish, I'm just going to have to put another name forward, because I just can't do it at this point. And I think she understood. So, but I appreciate that. That's still the first Mifflin County Basketball District Championship, still hanging there, 2022. So they can't change that. And So we were happy to be part of that, and I think made each girl better as the time we had them.
That's pretty cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't. So I got to ask you this:
Yeah.
was it you or Shauna that all your kids have M?
Well, any guy's going to tell you the correct answer is the wife. So I don't even know why it just kind of happened that way with, Marissa, Malin, Marshall, Mavry, just so happened. And our dogs are all S's. So I don't know what happened with that, but yeah, it just kind of fell in place. And I think maybe it's from her background because it's Stacy, Shelly, Shauna, Samantha. So they all had S's. So
Got ya.
we followed that, and happy wife, happy life. So you just kind of go along with that. And but no, and it's a lot. That's any coach will tell you. It's the wives and the husbands or whoever's the supporting person. They have to be bought in. Shauna was the president of our booster club, and we had meals here, and my mom and dad rode the bus with me, and my mom kept stats, and they're still involved with it. So it was a family affair from the start. And I hope the kids over the course of the last 30 years have felt that, because they're always part of it, and we wanted them to be that way. We wanted to be open, and they're part of our house, and part of our family, and that was always fun. And but like I said, you get to that point where either job or family or something just pulls you that you just can't. If I could make an administrative order as president judge to make it 30 hours in a day, I would do that so I could keep doing everything, but it just doesn't work that way. So
no. So, I think that Joe Stewart would be a good story.
Yeah.
For the paper. A co-owner of something, even if it's minority.
Yeah, he would be
Definitely.
happy to talk about that. Yeah,
Ed, if you get a chance,
tell him. Yeah,
give me Joe's contact info.
I can, Brian. I can send you his cell phone number.
Oh, okay. I'd like to do a story on that. We got a like from my favorite quarterback coach, Rob Bay.
Oh, good, Rob. Nice to hear him. I got to see him not long ago, but yeah, Joe would be a great story. And there's a lot, and that's the thing. Like with circling back, I mean, to your Hall of Fame.
There's stories if you look for them.
Yeah, and there are, and there's a lot of deserving people of some type of Hall of Fame recognition in their own ways. When I name those Division I athletes and things of that nature, and that's not to diminish the non-full ride Division I athletes. I'm not meaning to do that at all, because they're
yes, he is, people.
Yeah. No,
I'm kidding.
Hey,
I'm kidding.
This is coming from a Division III athlete, so I mean, I understand that. But it's there's a lot of good stories out there, and whether they're Hall of Fame or not, it doesn't really matter, because and you can learn a lot from people's stories and their work ethic and their dedication, because it leads over into work. I mean, I see a lot of kids, I've law clerks and people that come through court, probation officers. I see them, and they may not, but they're hard workers, and they said, oh, a lot of this stuff. I was a wrestler in high school, or I played football, and I remember when Coach said, and there are lessons to be learned from that. So, I mean, I don't mean to sound all sunshine and roses here, but sports, give a lot to kids, and I don't want to diminish that, or I want parents to think that if you don't win all the time, that winning is the utmost priority. However, there are a lot of equal collateral positives that come out of that we have seen. And, I can attest to that with what I see in court, because, unfortunately, I see juveniles come through all the time that have limited drive and dedication. And I say all the time, I'm like, hey, do you play a sport? Well, I like this. And I've said, I'll tell you what, why don't I give your name to coach whoever, and see if you can't, go out for that, because I know they could use that pro-social activity and learn the discipline that sports give them. And that helps in their out of out of sport and keep them out of court life.
Right.
Right.
Did you ever? I mean, I know you love it, or you wouldn't have been doing it so long. But you see all that, like you were saying, in court. Do you ever just like sometimes go, "Why the hell am I doing this?" I mean,
I think all judges could probably write a book at the end of the day and give the best stories without giving names, and people would say, wait, what? That really happens? And I think, we don't give away, obviously, juvenile matters and CYS dependency matters are confidential. We don't go into details with those. But if I tell my family or some of my staff, when they come out of court and they said, wow, is this reality? And that's what, some of the people, 90% of the people don't see what, some people go through, or some people, how they act and what they do and things like that. And we have to deal with. So, I mean, the bottom line is you have to uphold the law, and that's what I do. I have to, sympathy aside, the law is what the law is. But in certain circumstances, probation, CYS, and juvenile matters, you try to work with them to better them so they don't, it's reduced recidivism. We don't want them coming back. And so, yes, Brian, I say wow all the time. And, it's a G-rated show, so I'm not going to go into details of some of the things. But you'd be like, wait, what? A parent did what? Or they did this, or they said that? And you'd be amazed. And that's why, the support of parents for kids is so important to me in sports, but outside of sports too, because we see the other side, in the judicial setting as well.
right. Sorry about that. You know how sometimes streams are. All of a sudden, it's like, boom, I'm off the stream.
Hey, like I said, I listen to Rogan, and it's, I think the best podcasts, in my opinion, are not the ones that are pointed or have an agenda. It's one we're just having a conversation, and we could have different opinions. You could say X athlete was the best athlete in this sport. I could say, well, no, this. But open conversation to me is so important in society. And I think in our climate right now, unfortunately, we're so tribal where it's either you're this side or you're that side.
Yeah.
And
right.
It's, if you're on the other side, then you're my enemy. And that's not how it should be. It should be open conversation. And, you have one thought, I have another thought. Let's hash it out. We could disagree. We could agree. But, I think that's important in podcasts. And like I said, I'm open. I'm an open book as far as what I think. And you may disagree with me or agree with me, and that's fine. But that's how society should be. And I think we've gotten away from that a lot, in the recent years.
I agree. I mean, we're not the most professional one. Kenny and I, we don't like to have a script. I know there's podcasts where they get send questions to the guest of what they're going to ask.
Right.
We don't. We just take it wherever the conversation goes. It goes.
And I think that's the best ways. I mean, I have my opinion who the best. I could give you a list of who my best girls basketball, boys basketball, football players, baseball. I could go through that, and my list could differ from a lot of people, but that's how it should be. It should be open and honest conversation about that, and that's the way it goes. And but I think all opinions should be, accepted. People don't. I know people have agendas, and as people get older, they, want certain things, and but I'm just happy that. I got to be a part of Mifflin County sports, and I still will be, to support kids. And, my dad, Bernie Howard, years ago brought in a list of the boys' all-time leading scorers for Mifflin County. And I looked through there, and it was like, oh, I coached this one, that one. Oh, there's my name, and there's Justin's name. And, oh, I coached against this kid. And it was like, you're so connected to that. It's kind of cool that we've been part of that. And that's just a small part. That's not wrestling. That's not track. That's not, baseball. And it's funny because, like I said, remember in Carter, I said Carter came through in the fire trucks. Ryan Kaufman, helps coach our coach pitch team because his son Cole plays. And he was joking about, he said, oh, he had a story about when they won the 2002 baseball state championship about who was on the fire trucks and who held the trophy and things like that. But there's Ryan coaching with me, watching another state champion go through, and I coach Ryan in basketball. So it's the embracing of that small community and the successes that we've had.
Yeah, and it's been good. And as I said when we started this, Mifflin County, man, we're lucky. The athletes, the fans, the coaches, the parents, we are just lucky. It's all good. It's very rarely, like I said, is it bad. And Jim Tusing, if you're listening, you were bad, buddy.
I doubt he's listening, but
No.
Well, I was happy that Kenny Whitesell just got inducted. What was it, the Pennsylvania Wrestling Hall of Fame? Is that what I saw there?
Yes.
And the Taylor's on here. Just like there's just a lot of success stories going that have been in our community. And the other night at the Husky Awards, they did it a little differently, but Bobby Lepley kind of gave a little synopsis of the awards, whether it be the Rod Tate or the Ryan Hockenbrock, what they did, because unfortunately, as time passes, these kids don't know who these people were.
No.
So it's nice to, and time will come where they don't know who I am either. Justin Henry, we give the scholarships out. These kids weren't born when Justin was killed.
I know.
And so we kind of give, and they're like, oh, geez, they learn a little about him. And, I think that helps, the tradition continue where we recognize our past, looking forward, obviously, because the future is always better. Tomorrow's going to be better than today, but understand how we got here and some of the athletes or the coaches of the past that may have shaped some of this going forward. I wasn't the all-time winningest boys coach in Mifflin County high school history without my dad, Charlie Funk, who coached me, and being around Kevin and taking over after Wayne Brookhart and those guys, and the coaches I coached again, Shoemaker, Kyle, Brian Hecker. They made me a better coach, and maybe I have the most wins because I was around the most. But that's just part of the past that makes you better and going forward to want to be better in the future.
When you said Wayne Brookhart, it made me laugh.
Right.
When I started at the Sentinel, you're nervous, right?
Right.
And I got a call from him, and I was doing his game, doing a write-up of his game. And I guess, I don't know, I was young, stupid. The questions he must not have liked it. He goes, hey, why don't you have somebody who knows what they're doing? Give me a call. Give me a call, and I'll give them quotes.
Yeah, Wayne.
I'm like, oh, my God.
He was an intense guy, and we talked. And even when I was helping Kevin with the girls, Wayne lived next to my mom and dad, and there were many nights we go over and drink a couple beers and break down film together, and just little things like that we learned from each other that helped me in the future, maybe helped him too. So that's just, and like I said, these kids don't know that, and that's fine. They don't. But there is a past, and when that these coaches, we have a history, and we're trying to do the best we can and to mold them, be the best athletes they can be, but also where we came from. So no, it's go ahead.
The other thing I wanted to say that I mentioned parents, coaches, athletes, fans, but the administration is behind the athletics too. They
100%.
really are. And Tish McClay, I will say this publicly. I love Tish McClay. Tish McClay is one of my most favorite people in the entire world.
Look, I've been through, I can't tell you how many athletic directors over my time at Lewistown as a player, as a coach at Lewistown, then Mifflin County, and every AD gets crap from whether it be scheduling or you're not handling this coach that way or whatever. I will say every one of them, had the best interest of the kids at heart. just like coaches, do they always make the right decisions? No. Just like I don't. We never do, but they work their butts off. It's a thankless job. And, I appreciated every one of them, from Tish to Shu to Rick Kiefer to Tona Williams to, Rutherford. I mean, they all worked hard, because it's not an easy job. And it gets, with technology, yes, you might say it's easier, but it gets harder because you have to keep up with every little Sports U app, this one you want to get messages out. So it's tough, and they work their butts off, and we do appreciate them. So I do. I mean, over the years, I've gotten along with every one of them, and they worked well with me, and I got along with them as well. So,
and not to toot my own horn, but I'm going to for a second, because Kenny knows this. That's why I take, and Kenny does too, sports writing seriously, and know what it can do if it's done right.
Right.
I wrote an article that it was a crime that Kenny was not in the Hall of Fame, Pennsylvania wrestling. And Don Was, the president, called me personally. He got my contact info and said it was my article that made them take another look at Kenny and realize they made a mistake not putting him in.
Right.
And that's what it's not I said that in my speech. It's not the byline or anything else. It's telling stories and what it can mean to people and the athletes. And they don't do that today. I'm going to harp again. The young ones do not know how to write a sports story. They want to do something as quick as possible with as little description as possible and get it over with. They're out, even though it's not much, they're out for a paycheck. And I know for a fact Kenny does it for love, and so do I. And I know you coached out of love for the sport, for what it gave you.
Right. And, unfortunately, I talk about this a lot. Like, we're an immediacy society right now where, on the touch of my phone, I can have the world in front of me. I can Google whatever, or, search whatever, and I have it, right in front of me. And you said about 144 characters, whether it be X, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, you're blank. It's just a quick message, and it's faceless. It's not like that. Where with stories, you do create that narrative, and you weave in, you have to get the coach's comments right and ask the right questions, and, paint a picture for a reader to, whether it be print or whether it be online, where they know what happened and what the coach thought and how the game went, without just being, this happened, that happened, this was the end of the score. This was the final score. And that's tough now. And, they talk about, what is it people say about the 10,000 hour rule, that you don't become, proficient or an expert on anything without putting 10,000 hours in it, be it a sport. And that's hard to do when kids are hooked to the electronics, where they can get whatever they want in short notice. It's hard to put that down and say, I'm going to put this many hours in a day. There's tons of hours in the week. We talked about that all the time. If we say, there's 168 hours in the week. Now, granted, you're sleeping, hopefully 9 of those. But there's a lot of hours in the day that you could be putting into that. And I think that applies to work, and that applies to sports as well, where, even if you said, if an athlete said to me, they're like, look, I have 8 hours of free a day, and I'm going to put an hour and a half in a day on that sport, you're going to be pretty good. That's rare. And that's a small percentage of your day. But I think, to your point with, writing and things like that, putting that extra time in, because you have a passion for it, do you want to do it because your mom or dad or your employer's telling you to do it? Or do you want to do it because you have a passion for it? You want to get better because somebody else is out working you, out writing you, out doing whatever. That's the difference. That's what creates the, the Carter Smiths, the Trent Hidleys, the Hayden, Skylar Ciccolini's, Marissa Gingrich, whoever you want to say. that's what makes the difference. It's because she's my daughter, but I know her junior year, she missed her prom. Her first year, she missed a prom because she was at an open event down in Virginia at the Boo Williams AU tournament. Who wants to miss their first prom? But because there's Division I coaches watching her, that's what you sacrifice. You sacrifice weekends with your friends. Trent Hayden, they sacrificed a lot. Carter, I'm sure the same way. Hey, guys, you want to go out and get something to eat? Well, I can't because I have to run tomorrow and I got to watch my diet. It's just a different animal. Yeah. But, it's not to say the other kids aren't good kids, but you have to, if we're talking sports, you have to acknowledge the kids that are willing to go that extra step, then do the extra thing, the extraordinary, to be successful.
Well, if you want to talk about bad journalism and people complaining, wait till football season starts.
Okay.
And they see what's in the Sentinel. Because I am adamantly opposed against it. Since the Sentinel stopped printing years ago and Altoona does it.
Right.
The Altoona Mirror prints the Sentinel.
I understand.
The Altoona Mirror imposed a deadline now of 9:45.
Yeah,
football games don't get over till 9:30 sometimes. How are you to get a story, interview for quotes, and get stats in 15 minutes?
Right. No, I understand.
You are going to see the games not be in until Monday's paper.
Well, and you know, Brian, we saw that this past year, last couple of years, because, you know, we're in Harrisburg, till we get out of the gym, till we get moving, till I can get onto my phone to email quotes in. You know, there were many times an article wasn't in the next day. You know, we wouldn't see that. And I mean, I don't know what changes with that. But you know, Penn Live would have it in because we would try to send something into them. But because of, you know, the logistics of what we have here, we wouldn't have articles in. And it's not for my quotes. This is for, you know, to shine a spotlight on the kids, to get them notoriety. If, you know, Malin or Peyton Weaver or Jada Kanegi, whoever had a good game, I would like our local people to know that, you know, the people that get the Sentinel, or, you know, if we lost, if we won, whatever happened, you know, we want them to know. So I feel your pain because we saw it, but, you know, I don't know the answer because money drives all this. And if money isn't there, then, you know, it is a business at the end of the day. And I'm not sure what the answer is.
I'm not going to do it. I will not write football. I will not. Right. I will not. I could not, in all good conscience, put my name on something that's only going to be a few blurbs and no quotes and no stats. I can't do it.
Right. I understand.
Can't. Because just to show you the difference, back in Franco and I's day, the deadline on Friday nights was midnight.
Right. No, I 100% remember. And, you know, when I started coaching, you know, Andy covered me as a player. Scott did, I think. And then I think it was only Scott covering me as a coach. And always was he there, you know, was there after the games. And always it was there. You know, we would, and if they weren't there, every game they had a stringer. You know, there was somebody there covering it. So it's changed. I mean, I get it. But you know, these kids, I mean, it was a different era, and it was fun because, you know, everybody would get the paper the next day and see what happened. And there wasn't the social media. You didn't know, you had to wait. And there was, like I said, I think we're living in the greatest time right now because of a lot of reasons, but it was different, and it was exciting then too, in a different way. So
I covered you a lot.
I remember. Yeah. I remember. The thing I loved about now after 33 years, I'd cover and I'd go write the story, and I'm like, you know, that's not bad, man. I did a good job. And then I go back, like, after doing this for so long, and look at the stuff I wrote back then and went, oh my God, that's absolutely shit.
I mean, that is shit.
Well,
It's a wonder Aaron didn't slap me in the face the next day.
yeah. Well, but a lot of the guys were good in the sense that think of the coaches we had basketball wise, like Kevin Kodish. He was in for Apps Cuff, he was in communications, so he would always make sure that his quotes were tight and it was a good article. Roger Hertog is in communications. He was always well spoken. So, it made sense. Look I'm on the record every day as a judge. So words matter to me. So, what we said and what was taken down were important to us. Heck, Ray Wild covered some basketball games with his dull pencils, and I would talk slow enough just to make sure Ray got everything right. But he didn't know basketball, but he would get the quotes right. And, it mattered to everybody that was taking it then. And, you'd like to think in a perfect world it would to everybody, but, I get it. Some of these writers are here for 3 months and they're 23 years old and it's just a job till they get the next job. And, sometimes they're there, sometimes they aren't. And, you just don't feel that, buy-in.
Yeah, I know it sounds like I'm bashing him, but I won't
Right.
name names. I will not name names, but
Right.
I had a kid come up to me, young guy, how do you get I want to be a really decent writer. How do you get that way? And I quoted Hemingway, who was my inspiration. I went down to I remember specifically, Franco sent me down my second year at the Sentinel. He sent me down to Harrisburg to see the Detroit Free Press at the time, Mitch Albom. Those guys were winning all the awards. And the editor of the Free Press goes, "Do you want to be a great writer?" And of course, we all raised our hands. And he goes, "Then here, take this advice from Hemingway. When somebody asked him, how do you become a great writer? He said, read every day and write every day." And I swear to you, I've done that for 33 years. I've taken advice. So I told the kid this, and he goes, "Really? I got to write every day?" It's like, well, yeah, you want to be a good writer, right?
It's like everything else in life that you have to put the time in and you have to, carve your craft. You have to get better. And I don't care what it is, but, you can't be stagnant or stale. You have to, strive to improve in anything. And it sounds so cliched, but it's the ones that are willing to put the time in to do that at whatever that is.
Yes.
I don't care if it's being a judge, being a lawyer, being a writer,
everything.
An athlete. It's
you got to put in the hours.
It is, and that's hard. Like I said, with an immediacy society that we have, to do that, people want it handed to them. A lot of people do. There are hard workers, don't get me wrong, but too many kids that I see that just want it easy, and it takes time. To be a lawyer, to be a judge, to be a good writer, to be a state champion, to be a Division I athlete, whatever that case may be a good coach. It's hours watching film. It's hours, going to clinics. It's talking to coaches. It takes a lot. And, if my players have learned anything, over the time, it's, yes, is that the same drill we did in November that we were doing in February? Yes, it is. But that's what makes you better. That's that rep, keep repping because, putting that time in is going to, pay benefits. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but maybe your junior year, it clicks. And all of a sudden now you're like, oh, now I see, now I'm experiencing success. And that's a hard lesson to learn for kids.
Yeah. I didn't tell them, but my mind was like, I wanted to, but maybe I should have, but it's like, if you're not willing to write every day, you're not going to be a good writer. Right. If you don't want to put in the hours and the effort, forget it.
Right. No, you're right.
It's like being a good stat man like Brett Treaster.
I just saw his quote coming in there, and Brett was a great scorekeeper for us, and he's been around. But it takes everything, every aspect of you know the sport, whether it's just the small things, the scorekeeper, me yelling over, how many fouls, who's just little things. Every little bit
Yeah.
matters, and that's what makes the difference in close games or and I think in a successful profession. If you pay attention to the little things, the big things will take care of themselves. I think maybe that's a Paterno quote. I think it actually is, but yeah, that's important. And but I know Brett's been involved, and I don't know how many listeners you have. I'm sure there are a lot of people we know, but I appreciate you guys having me on. Like I said, just because I'm not going to be the head coach doesn't mean I don't want the best for everybody. And Crystal and Andy and
Right.
all the girls that I mentioned. I mean, if they could go undefeated this year, I'd be there celebrating with them. It's just certain things happen with kids and work and
Right.
you just can't do everything. And I don't want to miss Marissa's last 2 years. She started basically every game this past year, other than some quirky injuries. She doesn't get hurt at all. She had a concussion. She missed a couple games, and she got one. And heck, the game she got it, she hit 2 threes right after it, and the trainer says, "I think you got hit," and pulled her. So she missed a couple games. She actually had a weird separated shoulder at the end of the year. She played through that. The trainer didn't think she could play through, to the point where in their playoff game, she played 38 of the 40 minutes. So I think the coach knows when it's on the line who needs to be in there. And so, but it's a long process. It's a job. Nobody gives you a Division I scholarship. You earn it, and you work for it. And she's coming down the home stretch for 2 years, but looking forward to it. And like I said, we'll be traveling to see her games. Like I said, that's a weird conference with Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Albany, UMass Lowell, Binghamton. So it's everything up in that Northeast area. So we'll be traveling a little more. But like I said, I told Wade, I'm happy to help him. I'll be there when I can, and whatever he needs me to do, I'll do, and not be far away. So
I love Binghamton.
I really do.
I really do. My wife has relatives up near there, and in Montrose, Pennsylvania. And we used to go. Have you ever heard of Tully's?
I haven't, but is that in
Tully's
New York?
is owned by Binghamton. They have great food. They're owned by two. They're owned by two. This is odd. They're owned by two. They're owned by two Italian guys who make Irish pub food.
There we go. Well, now I know somewhere to go when we go to Binghamton, because
go to Tully's.
It's a 3-hour trip. It's nice. It's a nice facility, and it's an interesting conference. And like I said, I think she was one of the she was their best defender and one of the more athletic kids in the league. So and I think the coach after the season kind of admitted he put the shackles on her a little bit this past year, and he just wants her to play a little freer and let her go. So hopefully she stays healthy and has a good year.
Yes.
But it's exciting. I mean, I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, I can hear outside the computer room door here. Mavery was pounding on the door a little bit ago. So she's looking for Dad. And Marshall had a coach pitch game yesterday. Hopefully, we're fingers crossed for outside graduation tomorrow for Malin and the rest of the 2025 senior class. So hopefully we can get them back to Mitchell Field, and it's just a lot going on. So, but I do listen. I appreciate you guys having this podcast. And
hey, we loved having you on.
Yeah, that's great.
All that you guys do, to promote local sports. Like I said, it's an effort, and it doesn't go unnoticed behind the scenes from the coaches and the fans, and hopefully, like I said, the players as well. So thank you to you guys.
Well,
and I'd be happy. Trust me, I'm not gonna be far away. And like I said, as a judge, I speak for a living. So if you guys want to have me on it sometime in the future, just to talk sports,
definitely,
definitely.
I'm not far away, and I'll have my finger on the pulse of what's going on locally. Trust me.
And I'm sorry, Kenny, with the way Aaron and I can talk, we.
Oh no.
you kind of got
Sometimes,
drowned out.
sometimes you just like to sit back and just listen, and I enjoyed it. I mean, I like listening to people, and no problem there.
And I want to end with Brett Treaster. Even though I love you, buddy, I hate the Phillies. I hate Bryce Harper, and
Oh,
I hate
jeez.
and I hate
Dang.
and I hate Trey Turner.
Jeez. Boy, that's
They they were Nationals who left us.
jeez.
Turner and Harper.
Brett knows I'm a Phillies fan at heart, but I'll tell you what, I was a Sixers fan for a lot of years, but I'll tell you what, the Indiana Pacers are kind of growing on me right now.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, maybe my favorite player in the league is TJ McConnell right now. I'm telling you what, he's a dog, and I'd like to see them pull it off. Marissa is kind of rooting for the Knicks, simply because she gets to get over there into the city from Newark. And her and her boyfriend went to a taco bar right next to Madison Square Garden, and there was a Knicks watch party outside, so they hung out with the Knicks fans, and so she kind of has a little place in her heart for the Knicks. But I think I like to see the Pacers are a great story. I'm not sure they're going through OKC, but
I know.
Hopefully TJ and Halliburton can get them through and get to the finals here. So we'll see.
I will give Treaster some love with his Phillies. Right now, if he keeps going, Zach Wheeler's going to be the NL Cy Young winner.
Yes, he's throwing well. I know Brett has anxiety over the pen, how they close. So it's we'll see.
Anxiety over the pen. The Nationals bullpen has a combined 8.23 ERA.
Yeah, that's not good. But,
they've never met a blown save they didn't like.
I saw Brayton just threw a quote on about Miss TJ. I'm telling you what, they're for a guy that went to Duquesne, transferred to Arizona with Sean Miller, and came out of there and has a 10-year career. Great, and he like I said, he works his tail off. But anyway, that's NBA. We skipped over to NBA. We've covered a lot of things here too. I mean, you want to Penn State football? Anything else you want to talk about?
They're one of the favorites, but I don't.
know.
I know you're a Penn State guy. I don't think James Franklin is a big game coach. I don't.
Well,
Great recruiter, but not a big game coach.
Well, I think in the next 2 years, well, this year especially, I mean, it's going to come down. I think either he does it in the next couple of years, or this is about as good as it's going to get. I think with what they have right now. So
I am surprised about it. I think my guy Sean McVay,
right,
Rams likes Drew Allor.
Yeah,
he likes him.
He's an NFL talent. He has that Stafford arm, but we'll see. I mean, it's a lot. There's
Rams
a lot
will win the Super Bowl, Aaron. Rams will win the Super Bowl.
Is this Kenny? Is this recorded? Can we?
Yes.
Yeah, we can go back.
All right. Okay.
Devontae Adams, Super Bowl MVP.
All right, guys. Well,
all right. Well, thank you, buddy.
They're probably tired of listening to me talk right now. So, but hey, I appreciate you guys having me on and everything you guys do. So,
anytime. Anytime,
thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Yep. See ya.
See ya. That is former Mifflin County basketball coach, girls basketball coach. Eagles are tough. Yes, they are, Braden. That's our biggest competition. I do think I will say that. I was joking, Super Bowl and all that, but I do think the two teams in the NFC will be Eagles and the Rams.
I can see
barring
that.
injuries, and Detroit's in there.
Well, don't you think that you guys are done with the mass amount of injuries you guys got over the last 2 seasons?
I hope so. Last year, at the beginning of the year, it was us, and then the one that had the ton of injuries by the time the playoffs rolled around was the Lions. The Lions at full strength are scary, except for Jared Goff. But hey, do you have any shout outs?
Oh my gosh, yes, yes, I
Hold
do.
on. We'll do the shout outs and then get out of here.
Okay,
Uh, you know what I got to do though,
all right,
right?
gotta. What the
I got to
fuck
play your music as soon as I can find it and
was it?
click.
Walking with the ducks or
Feeding the ducks.
oh, feeding the ducks? Gosh,
You know that's the music Bob Treaster uses when he's making his porno films.
jeez, dang.
I love you, Brett. Go ahead, buddy.
Oh boy, how do you start out after that? Okay, uh, a shout out to State College softball team as they defeated McDowell yesterday in 1-0 fashion. Gabby McTavish doubled to score the winning run in the eighth, and pitcher Addie Harpster struck out 17. So congratulations, State College, with the win.
Yeah. Congrats.
This was just basically released via our buddy Josh Yoder. Mifflin County baseball player Aiden Arnold has signed to play with Westmoreland County. Yeah, yeah. So congratulations, Aiden. He was one of the biggest cogs in the rotation that helped Huskies get to the championship game. So great job. Hope to hear more from him.
Yeah.
Next up is this is a game that I covered yesterday. Was the Bellefonte Lady Raiders softball team? They a week ago they defeated Juniata and our good friend Craig Bubb. But it was a down season for Juniata, but
Yeah.
they reached the
Difficult
championship.
season.
Yeah, but you know when you're trying to get new pitchers in there and pitching is
Yeah. When you
pretty
lose the best pitcher in Pennsylvania, it's hard
mm-hmm,
to have the same kind of season. I
mm-hmm,
mean, come on. She took them back-to-back state finals.
mm-hmm.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. So they won again yesterday in a 5-inning contest against Kasich, and that was a 16-1 game. So they're on now to the actual state playoffs. We had actually some Special Olympians go and represent the buddy program at the Big 33 All-Star contest. They were Bobby Fisher, who was on tonight to announce he's coming out
Announce
of
he's
retirement.
out of
Out of
retirement.
retirement, yep. Gonna be
Wow.
gunslinging now. It was, and then Stephen Hipple and the team captain was Brandon Beers. So congratulations, guys, and I hope you enjoyed your
Congrats.
weekend. I didn't know this until I already put the story up that the Big 33 is no longer in Hershey. I did not know that.
Oh, neither did
They
I.
they moved it to Chapman Stadium in Cumberland Valley, I believe.
That's a nice stadium, though.
So, yeah.
Yeah, Braden's like, let's go, Bobby Fischer. Hollywood, back.
Back, yeah. I guess he lost some weight, so he's in good shape. He'll be in better shape than most of the coaches. So that's
Good.
good. Congratulations to the state track and field runners, competitors. 800-meter was Wyatt Kaufman, Michael McNitt, and
300 hurdles.
four by 800 team with Reese Cubison, Connor Lynch, Aiden Scavidi, and Styers Odin. They
Yeah.
placed 30th, which at states is a pretty good showing. And then Saturday there was a big 14U tournament. Had over 51 teams in Center County in the Center County region playing. I covered the 14U rail splitters. team that consisted of players from Penns Valley, Huntington, Bald Eagle, and Williamsport, and they came in second place. So great job, guys.
Nice.
The Bald Eagle girls are heading back to the District 6 championship as they defeated Marion Center 1-0 on a walk-off home run by Kendall Gavlock. So great job, you guys. The State College boys volleyball team, they picked up the District 6 3A championship over the weekend. They dominated 25-23, 25-22, and 25-16. So they're off on another run, hopefully, here. And that concludes my shout outs. There are a lot more out there. I just didn't get a chance to load them all on there, but there were a lot of great performances by track and field teams like State College, Bellefonte, Bald Eagle, Juniata. Congratulations to all who made it to states, because that is definitely not an easy feat. And I hope they all had a PRs and had a good time down there.
Yeah, I got one before we go, and I felt so bad for him. Wyatt Straub of Juniata in the 3,200 placed 9th. He was 1/10 of a second away from a medal.
Wow.
And what happened was, in the beginning of the 3,200 race, he got caught in some traffic and fell. And went down. And it was that going down that probably kept him from a medal his senior year. And, my heart just ached for him, because I know you've talked to him too. He's a good kid.
Yes.
And to be that close to a medal your senior year and not get it stinks.
Well, and especially having the heart to get back up and not give up. That's takes right there. He already won. You know what I mean?
But a shout out to him. And then Wyatt Kaufman got tangled up and fell in the 800.
Jeez.
Yeah. So to both of them.
Yeah.
But all right. That's going to do it for us tonight. We went over by a half hour. Who cares? We had fun.
Yeah.
Talking a lot of different sports. But hey, it'll get to that time now. State track's over. Basically, what we got left, right, is baseball and softball.
Baseball and softball.
And then we get the summer break, Little League and Babe Ruth and all that stuff. And then we're back for the fall.
Yeah, football. They're right around the corner. Less than 100 days for college. So
I know.
It'll be here
and then obviously my love, the NFL. But so until next week, we will talk to you later. For Kenny Varner, I'm Brian Carson. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. Take care and good night.
Good night, everybody, and congratulations to all you graduates out there.
Yes.
And it's been great covering you. Thank you, and hope you tune in next week.